soulmate, welcome to AM21 Fashion University. Today we'll be learning how to draft a basic skirt block. So these are the measurements I'll be needing to draft a basic skirt block. I'll be needing my waist circumference, which is for my own measurement that I have here is 28 inches. Then the hip circumference, which is 38.5 inches. Then waist to hip or hip depth, which is 8 inches. Then my waist to nail, that is 22 inches, and my skirt length, which is 30 inches. I am not making a full skirt, so that's why it's 30 inches. I'm making a 3/4 midi skirt. So one thing to note is that the basic skirt block has two blocks: the front skirt block and then the back skirt block, that is the front and back part of the skirt. So we'll now go to drafting proper. So the first thing we are going to do is that we'll create a square. We'll try to create like a square margin, and that will be like a grid or a box, the area we'll be working with in order for us to draft our basic skirt. So to create the box, what I will do now is this is the top of my paper here. This is the top of my paper here. So I would like to leave a little bit of space from the top of my paper because I might have other things that I want to do there. At the tip here, so I come down from the tip of my paper here. It's always better to leave space and not start directly at the tip of your paper on top, you understand? So from the tip of my paper here, I'll come down by 1 inch. I'll leave 1 inch space up. So from the tip here, this is 1 inch here. So I will mark it across. Mark it across like this. So I'll connect the dots in order to form an horizontal line. So here, so the space from the tip of my paper here to here is 1 inch. So I've left that 1 inch space up. So the next thing is the skirt length. Your skirt length, the length of the skirt you are working with. Mine is 30. You can decide you want to make a full skirt. So it might be more than 30 if you are making a full skirt. But for me, my skirt length is 30. So, and you know, is a vertical measurement. Is one of the vertical measurements. So you can refer back to our video on how to take accurate body measurement to know what we're talking about. So this is skirt length. It's a vertical measurement, so we measure it straight down. So this is 30 inches for the skirt length. 30 inches. So you do that across the paper. Remember I said we are trying to create like a square box where we'll be working with. That will form like a grid for us. We'll be working with. So this is 30. 30. So we connect the dots. Connect the dots. So this side, I'll be using this side as the length here. Then this is one border here for the square we are trying to create. This is another border, this is another border, top border, bottom border. Then the next thing you will do is that your hip circumference, which is the largest part of your measurement for your skirt length, because my waist circumference is smaller, that is 28 inches, but for my hip circumference, that is 38 and a half. So I will divide my hip circumference divided by 2. Hip circumference, that is 38.5 divided by 2, that will give me 19.25. So you measure, because hip circumference is horizontal measurement, is one of the horizontal measurement, so you measure it across the paper like this. For the skirt is a vertical measurement, so down the paper, but for the hip circumference, that is horizontal measurement, so you measure it across the paper. So you measure it across the paper here. So this is 19.25 across. So you do that across. That's 19.25. 19.25 and 19.25. So you connect the dots here. Connect the dots. So this gives us like a square. The grid I told you we'll be working with. So we're working within this frame here. We'll be working within this frame here. So this is top border, this is bottom border, right, left border here, then the left border. So we'll be working with this in order to draft our skirt. So the next thing we are going to do is I'll take this is your half of your, from here to here is half of your hip circumference. You understand? That's half of your hip circumference. Then I'll divide it into 2 again. You understand? So when I divide it into 2, that's 19.25 divided by 2. 19.25 divided by 2, that will give me 9.625. So I'll measure 9.625. Remember, it's an horizontal measurement, so it's still the same thing as saying 1/4 of your hip measurement. You understand? So 1/4 of 38.5 will give you 9.625. So here I'll measure 9.625 here. So I'll do that down the length of the paper, because I want to break I want to divide this horizontal measurement, the 19.25. I want to divide it into 2 equal parts. One will be for the front skirt and then one will be for the back skirt. So I will do that across here. Then that's 9.625. 9.625. So I'll connect the dots. Connecting the dots. Sorry. No. Connecting the dots. So now I've divided this 19, the whole 19.25 into 2. So this is 9.625. From here to here is 9.625. Then from here to here too is 9.625. So that gives me this gives me the front part of my skirt. You understand? And this will be for the back part of my skirt. So this means that for here now, this is 1/4 of your hip measurement. then this is 1/4 of your hip measurement. So if you divide 38.5 divided by 4, that will give you 9.625. You understand? So 9.625. 9.625. So I can label this as I will mix it up. I can label this as my front skirt block. Front skirt block. Then this will be my back skirt block. So remember I said our skirt block, the basic skirt block is divided into two, the front block and the back block. So here is how we got two. So the next thing we'll be doing now is I'll measure from my waist to hip, or hip depth. So this is my waist. That is a vertical measurement too. So you measure it down, straight down. So waist to hip. From my waist to hip, that's 8 inches. Waist to hip, 8 inches here. Then this is 8 inches. This is 8 inches. 8 inches. So this is my hip depth, waist to hip. So this, okay, let me connect the dot first. So this top line here, the top line, the red line here, you will call it your waistline. Waistline. Because that's where your waist is starting from. You understand? Then, I said from here to here is 8 inches. That's from my hip and my waist to my hip. So this line here will be your hip line. That is like the area where your hip is sitting. You understand? So that's hip line. So I call it hip line. So from the measurement I took waist to hip, you see that is 8 inches. 8 inches. So the next thing is I'll measure from my waist to my knee. That's a vertical measurement too. So you measure it straight down. My waist to knee is 22 inches. So from the waistline here, you measure 22 inches down. 22 inches down. Then you square it across the paper. That is, you mark it right across the paper. The 22 inches. Mark your dots. Mark your dots. 22. Here is 22. So connect the dots as usual. So you can actually get a longer ruler than this. That will make it faster. So this knee length, your waist to knee, that's the knee length. So let's imagine you are making your skirt will be up to your knee. You will just stop at this point here. You understand? If it's stopping at your knee, you understand? You just stop at this point. No need to extend it further. But because my skirt extends beyond my knee, so I extended the measurement further to make it 30 inches. So this part here, we'll label it the center front. The center front. So I'll still explain this when I'm done so you understand better. But this part here, this is the front skirt block. So this part here, we call it the center front. Center front. Then this side here, for your front skirt block, we call it the center. Well, I call it the side front. Side front of your skirt. Then for this part here, I'll call it the center back. This is your back skirt block. So here I'll call it the center back. Center back. And this, where both the front and back meet, that is the side. So that's the side back of your skirt. I'll still explain this better. So the next thing I want to do now is I want to add that to my skirt, you understand? So I want to add that to my skirt. So um my dart allowance, the dart, I want to make it 1 inch, my dart, so that when I'm sewing and I want to hold the dart, I'll just hold 1 inch. So first thing we'll do is sorry, before we go to that, your waist circumference. Yes, waist circumference. You know, this is our hip. We took the largest part of our measurement to form the grid. So your waist circumference, you know that this is 1/4 of your hip circumference. You will try to get 1/4 too of your waist circumference. You know, this is your waistline. This is your waistline. So my waist circumference is 28 inches. So 1/4 of 28 inches, that's 7. It's still the same thing as saying 28 divided by 4. That will give me 7. So 1/4 of my waist is 7 inches. See here. So this is 7 inches for my waist. So that is 28 divided by 4. That gave me 7. You understand? So for my hip, 1/4 of 38.5, which is my hip circumference, that gave me 9.625, which is from here to here. I hope you understand what I'm trying to depict here. So this is my waist. 1/4 of my waist from here to here is 7 inches. So I want to add that to this skirt. You can decide to make it that less, that is, it will not have that. So if it is not having that, you will just stop at this. You won't add any 1 inch further, because you won't be holding any dart. You won't sew any dart on it, you understand? But if you want it to have a dart, you will use 1 inch as your dart allowance. So when I add 1 to my 7, which is 1/4 of my waist, 1/4 of my waist circumference, that will give me 8 inches all in total. So I will measure from the center front of the skirt. You know, this is center front, so I will measure 8 inches. So this is 8 inches. That is because I'm adding a dart. So that's 8 inches. So you connect your waist to your hip here. You know, this is your waistline here, and this is 1/4 of your waist circumference plus the 1 inch dart allowance. This is the point here. Then this is 1/4 of your hip circumference. So you connect this to this here. So I've connected it. Then to draw my dart, I'll be using my apex. Apex is also called nipple to nipple or bust pan. So you can refer back to our video on how to take accurate body measurement to understand what I mean by apex or bust pan or nipple to nipple. So for my nipple to nipple, that is 3.25. So I'll measure 3.25 from my center front here. This is my center front inward. So this 3.25. So remember I said my dart, I made it 1 inch. So the 1 inch, I'll divide it into 2. That will give me half. So I'll measure half to the left side of that my apex or nipple to nipple. You know, it's 3.25. This 3.25. This is the line, where 3.25 is. So I'll measure half to the right side of it. Then I'll measure half to the left side of it. So from here to here will give me my 1 inch for my dart back. So by the time I'm holding this dart here, this one, you know, we have already added the allowance. It will just give me back my 7 for my half of 1/4 of my waist circumference. So for the distance, how long you want your dart to be. For the front, it is 4.5 inches. So you measure, that's a vertical measurement too. How long, this is how long you want it to be. So I want it to be it's going to be 4.5 inches. So I'll measure from the top here. I'll measure 4.5 inches down. You understand? So I just try to check the 3 points if it aligns. 3.2, 3.25, which is my nipple to nipple. So I do something like this to get the accurate point. So then I connect the point here to the one up, then I connect it to these two, then to these two. So that gives me my dart for the front skirt. You understand? So that's that. Then from here, from this part here, you will extend it up by ½ inch. So from your waistline, where your 1/4 of your waist circumference plus 1 inch of the dart is resting on, you will extend it up by ½ inch. This is ½ inch. So I note it here. Then you use your French cuff. You use your French cuff to cuff it in. See how I'm cuffing it in to this that point here, the one here. You understand? So I'll connect it from here to here, just to make our skirt look more cuffy at the top there. So something like this. You understand? So something like this. So for the back skirt block too. So from the center back, you know, this is our center back, both center front and both side. This is the side front, this is the side back. They are sharing a border in between. You understand? So this is our center back. So you repeat the same thing for the dart. So add your dart too. So but first you will take 1/4 of your waist circumference first. 1/4 of your waist circumference. That is 7, like we did for the front block. So that is 7. So because we are adding a dart, which is 1 inch, you will add 1 plus 7. That will give you 8. But let's say you are not adding a dart, you won't add the dart allowance again. You will just leave it as it is, like that. So this is 8 inches for this. So you connect, this is 1/4 of your waist circumference plus the 1 inch dart allowance. Then you connect this to 1/4 of your hip circumference, which is 9.625. So you connect your waist to your hip here. It's just the same thing as we did for the front block. So you repeat the same thing here too. So for the dart too, that is you get your apex or nipple to nipple, your bust pan. So that's from, you measure it from the center back inward. You know, we measure it from the center front inward too. So from the center back inward. So this is 3.25. That is my own apex or nipple to nipple or bust pan. So the 1 inch, I will distribute it into 2. So that is divided by 2. That's half and half. So one will be on the left side and one will be on the right side. So this is the left side. So I will put half on the left side of this point, then half on the left side of this point. So everything makes up the whole of 1 inch, which gives the dart allowance. So by the time you are holding it, the one you have added, it would have been subtracted from it, and then it will give you your 7 inches for 1/4 of your waist circumference. So for this, the length of your dart for back is 5.5 inches instead of 4.4 inches. For the length, this is 4.5 inches for the front skirt. Then this will be 5.5 inches. So from the waistline, from your waistline, this red line, you measure 5.5 inches downward. Yeah. So then I'll try to measure the 3.25, which is my apex, just to get a perfect point where that point will be. So here, then you connect it here, then connect these two to that point, then you connect these two to the point. So the length for the back, that length for the back skirt, that is 5.5 inches. 5.5 inches. So you would do the same thing, the extension that I said from the waistline, 1/4 of your waist circumference plus 1 inch that allowance. That point you will extend it up by 1/2 inch. You see why I left space at the top of my paper, because you might need to do something at the top of your paper again, maybe add a form of something. So it's better you leave space. Had it been I didn't leave any space, how would I extend it? Then maybe I have to add another paper on top there, and that would be stressful. So try to leave like 1 or 2 inches, you understand, at the top of your paper whenever you are drafting. So you try to connect this point to this dark leg here. This is a dark leg, so it's just to make our skirt more comfy. So here it is. So that is our this is our front skirt block, and this is our back skirt block. So there is a little something we are going to do now. So this point here, if you look at it from here, let me use this to cover this here now. If you see this point here, it's coming like this, it is sharp here. So you have to eliminate this sharpness, you understand, because when you are sewing, it will make that place bulgy and it will look funny. So you just have to cuff it in a bit. So I will use my French cuff to eliminate that. So it's just to cuff it in a bit. So you put it here and here, just to form a cuff, instead of it being very sharp. See, it's not sharp again, this point and this point. Then you do it for the back, for the front skirt block too, just to eliminate that sharpness there. So something like this. Yes, so sorry, you might not really see the difference because I'm using a marker, but if you're using a pencil, you will see that it has eliminated a little bit of sharpness around here. So we are done drafting our skirt. So this is our front block, and this is our back skirt block. So we can cut now. So we can cut. So we just cut. Cut. So let's cut the skirt. Okay. So I hope this is well explanatory enough. So we can cut our skirt. So remember, you can make it your desired length. It can be a full skirt, it can be a mini or mid or new length skirt. So if it's going to be a new length, so I'm just going to cut it here, you understand. So we are making 3/4 of midi skirt. So yeah. So one thing I want to explain is that this 1/, this is 1/4 of your hip, then this is 1/4 of your hip. By the time you are cutting it, because this is this one here, you will be cutting it on fold, and it will give you 2 times of this, 2 times of your 2 times of 9.625. So 2 times of 9.625 will give you 19.25 for your front skirt. Then 2 times of this, by the time you are cutting it, you'll be cutting it on fold. This will give you 2 times of 9.625, which is 19.2. So 19.25 for your back skirt block, then 19.25 for your front skirt block. So 19.25 plus 19.25 will give you the whole 38.5, which is my hip circumference. You understand? So by the time I will explain how that works, so you understand better what I'm saying. So you see that I did not cut like this, straight like this and like this. I have eliminated that sharpness, so it's making it more curvy around there, so it will give you a perfect shape around your hip. So here, here, here. So here is our back skirt block, and here is our front. So now we have this there. So this is our front skirt block, then this is our back skirt block. You understand? So by the time you are cutting, let's say you want to cut on a fabric now,